In 2004, Nike came out with a Japanese-only Air Max 1 that was meant to pay tribute to the Urawa Dragons, aka Urawa Red Diamonds. Now the Urawa Dragons, they're a football team in the J-League, which is the Japanese football league, and that shoe featured predominantly red. It was a very, very nice looking shoe, and in 2023, they're coming with a sequel, so not exactly just a one-to-one retro bringing back the colorway. They're coming out with a sequel to that shoe, slightly mixing up the color blocking and the colors on the shoe, kind of like what they did with the Shima Shima earlier this year. And just like the Air Max 1 in 2004, I think they did a really good job this time. Nike Air Max 1 Urawa. Now this shoe is dropping on October 3rd for $160 in the United States. Now comparing this Urawa version of the MX1 to the 2004 version, if I had to make a pick, I think both colorways are very nice. I do like red shoes a lot. If I had to choose, I don't know, maybe it's just one of those nostalgia things, but I do think the 2004 version is slightly better. If I had to only pick one, I would choose that one. But I think overall, in terms of colorway, in terms of how this shoe looks, it's really, really nice. Now the MX1, quick backstory if you didn't know, it was designed by Tinker Hatfield. Sure, you've heard of that name before. He designed the MX1, he went to France, specifically saw the building Centre Pompidou, where that building, it was like see-through, you could see into that building. So he thought, why not expose the Nike Air unit to customers so they can see through it right through the shoe, and that's where that appearance was born. And the shoe comes with a black mesh base layer. Usually I don't love mesh, don't really like the look of it. But because it's black mesh, there's something about black mesh that I think just looks better. Kind of looks like black chainmail, like black armor, if you know what I mean. And the overlays of the shoe, it comes in that pure platinum color. The official color is pure platinum. Most people would just call it gray, but pure platinum it is. And what's confusing about this material is it looks and feels like nubuck. Like when you run your hands over it, just feels like some type of nubuck. However, on Nike.com and sneakers, it does mention that this shoe has leather overlays. Now, I don't know if they mean like nubuck leather overlays, because nubuck technically is just a form of leather. But usually when shoes come with nubuck, Nike.com will say nubuck or suede if it's suede. But it's confusing that they just went with leather overlays on this shoe. So maybe it's just that like matte type of leather. You see that on the black toes, the Jordan 1 Low black toes. The heel counterpart, that feels like matte leather. Maybe that's what it is, but I don't know. To the touch, it feels more like nubuck than like traditional leather that most people would think about when you talk about sneakers. Like on the swoosh, that is leather. Like that is clearly leather, and when you touch it, when you see it, that feels like leather. But the gray overlays, I don't know. I'll go with the official wording from Nike.com. Now the materials overall on this shoe, however, I think are pretty nice. Again, it feels nice, it looks nice. Technically, this is an Air Max 1 Premium, which comes with better materials. So instead of like $150, this shoe is $160, slightly more expensive. I do like the materials on the shoe. It's nothing crazy, it's nothing premium, but it's definitely good. And moving on to the tongue, this shoe comes with a pretty standard Air Max 1 tongue. However, the Nike Air comes in gold, so that's a pretty unique look. And usually I don't love a lot of gold on shoes, but in small amounts like this, the way it pops, I kind of like it. The glittery effect might be a bit too much for some people, but I don't know, I like how it looks on this shoe. Now speaking of Nike Air, usually on an Air Max 1, you'll see Nike Air branding on the booty. This shoe, it does have the Urawa Dragons logo on the back, embroidered on the back, instead of the Nike Air. And you also see that same logo on the insole of the shoe, and it comes with a red insole. And this midsole, it is white. Thank God it didn't go with a sail midsole. They practiced some self-control this time. Just a white midsole, and of course the visible air unit on the heel. And of course the very iconic rubber waffle outsole. And I've reviewed a couple of big bubbles lately, and this one, obviously it comes with a normal size bubble, and you see the midsole compared to the big bubbles, slightly different. The lines and the pattern on this shoe is a little bit different, and like I've said before, if I had to choose, I can't. I'm not choosing. Sometimes I think this looks better, sometimes I think the big bubbles might look slightly better. It just really depends on the colorway. I don't really care if it's a big or small bubble. Size does not matter, apparently. Now this shoe doesn't come with any extra laces. I think the white laces look really well. I think it works great. Maybe if you were gonna get a little crazy, maybe you could go with the red laces, similar to the eyelets of the shoe. I think that'll give it a different look. Maybe even gold if you're like really trying to go for something, but I think the white laces work pretty well. Box of the shoe, very standard, Nike box. That's it. Now moving on to size and comfort, I'm a size 9.5 true to size. I do have wide feet. Usually for Air Max 1s, I do go up half a size to size 10. Now in my opinion, there's not like a perfect fit for Air Max 1s for wide footers, because when I do go up half a size, I feel like the length, it is slightly too roomy for me. I do like a snug fit. However, if I did go true to size, I have found that my toe box as well as the arch area, it gives me some problems. Not everyone has those issues, but for me, for my wide feet, I do just prefer going up half a size. So if you don't have wide feet, I do recommend just sticking true to size. If you do have wide feet, depending on how wide it is, I guess, you can still maybe stick true to size, but personally, I go up half a size. I do just recommend going to a store, trying out an MX1. There should be plenty of general release MX1s sitting in retail stores, so shouldn't be too hard to just try it out yourself. Now in terms of comfort, I think the MX1, especially considering its age, this shoe came out in 1987, this has always been one of the more comfortable shoes from that era. I think it's a shoe you can wear casually all day, no problem. And recently I actually just came back from a mini vacation. I got a larger vacation coming up, but a mini vacation. I was in New York, a lot of walking, and I was wearing the Jordan 5s. And I do have to say, I love the comfort of the Jordan 5s. It's a very comfortable shoe, but when I came back and then tried this shoe on, I think I've been underestimating the MX1s a little bit. The cushioning and the comfort around like the bottom of your feet and the lightness of the MX1. Yeah, usually for MX1s, I think it's like good in terms of comfort, nothing great, but I might have to like start upgrading it to really good, especially the lightness. Like I don't really love shoes that are super light, but this shoe, I think the weight of this shoe kind of is striking the right balance. You still feel like you're wearing shoes on feet, but it's not like a burden. So I say all that to say, the MX1, it's a comfortable shoe. And that brings the total sole score of the Air Max 1 Urawa to 16 out of 25. A pretty good score compared to other general releases. Now in terms of colorway, this is a very nice colorway. It uses a lot of like standard and base colors. Black, gray, more pure platinum if you're going by official colors, and red. Just hints of red, a little bit of gold. I think it works really well. I like the colors on the shoe. In terms of materials, I think the materials are nice. Again, very confusing. This overlay, the gray overlays, feels like nubuck. Nike.com calls it leather. Usually they point out if it's nubuck or suede. They just call it leather. Feels like nubuck. Maybe it's matte leather. I don't know. But overall, I think the materials are nice on the shoe. And it's a black mesh base layer, not white, so it doesn't get dirty as easily. Now in terms of comfort, like I said before, the Air Max 1s, in terms of comfort, it's creeping up there. I've always thought it was a comfortable shoe, but the more shoes that I wear and really pay attention to, the more highly ranked the Air Max 1 is. Despite being a very old shoe, I like the cushioning on the shoe. I like the inside, like the padding around the ankle collar and inside your feet. Now usually for Air Max 1s, I give it a 3 out of 5 in terms of comfort. Nice comfortable shoe, but now, I think I'm gonna start giving it a 4 out of 5. And maybe it's just like this particular shoe, like the mesh feels very soft and very light, but honestly when I came back from New York, 4 days of non-stop walking, put the shoe on feet. Yeah, I really liked it. In terms of versatility, Air Max 1, it's still popular for a reason. It's my favorite Air Max for a reason. I think it's the most versatile Air Max. It just looks really nice, and in terms of the colorway, the versatility of the colorway, I think it really works. This is so easy to wear. I think the Air Max 1 is similar to the Nike Dunks, with a lot less hype obviously. The Air Max 1, there's so many different things you can do with it, so many collaborations and colorways and cool things you can do on the silhouette. And this is an example of it. The options are honestly endless, and there's been so many different classic Air Max 1 colorways, and even though I don't think this is like crazy enough to be a classic, to be legendary, but if you just look at this shoe, I think it's super clean, super nice looking. So that's it. Thanks for watching, Sole Inclined. Let me know what you think of the Air Max 1 Urawa. Like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. And remember, tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes.